let's say our organization use financial metrics and non-financial metrics, all right? Financial metrics such as sales and non-financial metrics such as brand equity, okay? So both of them should be related. And from marketing perspective, we say that the achievement of non-financial metrics should contribute to the achievement of financial metrics such as sales, cash flow, and so on and so forth, right? Now let's have a look at them further, right? Okay, look, there are also studies suggesting that both measures are critical for marketing performance, so that we need to use both of them. Again, as mentioned to you before, the non-financial metrics that we use should be able to drive the financial measures. All right. So, what are the examples of non-financial measures? Well, there are two big ones that marketers use, and they include these. Okay, so these are the classic examples of non-financial measures: brand equity and customer relationship. You may recall that we discussed that the essence of marketing is actually building relationship, and people challenge, okay, if it is building relationship, how do we measure that we are successful in building relationship? Well, this slide here actually shows that some variables that we can use, or some metrics to be more precise, that we can use to measure the our relationship with the customers. All right, they include the customer acquisition, customer retention, customer lifetime value, customer equity. Okay, and from brand management perspective, we can also measure it based on brand loyalty, brand awareness, perceived quality, and brand associations. Okay, in fact, these four areas in here are basically the what we call as the dimensions of brand equity. Okay, there are four dimensions of brand equity that includes brand awareness, brand loyalty, brand associations, and perceived quality. Okay, right. Let's have a look at them. Brand awareness is actually the degree that our customers know about our products. Okay, it could be the brand name only, it could be more than that, could be the benefit of our products. Okay, so that's the brand awareness. Okay, the degree that the customers know about our brand. Okay, I just mark it in here. I just put it in here. Right, it is about the knowledge, if you like. It is about the knowledge of the customers on our products. Okay. What do they know? That may be the brand name, okay, that may be the benefit, and so on and so forth. Okay, now the next one here is the next one I'd like to discuss briefly is the brand associations, which has become quite important as well in today's business landscape. Okay, brand associations. What is that? Well, brand associations is also labeled as brand image. Okay. What is that? Well, in brief, it is the specific word or words, right? Probably more than more than one word, like two words, for instance, all right, that customers use to describe our brand. Okay, and it is a specific word that customers use to describe our brand, or you could also say it is a specific word that our brand is associated to by the customers, right? So that's the brand association or brand image. Okay, brand loyalty is actually about how loyal our customers are. It can be measured by the commitment, right? So it is about how committed our customers are to our brand. Okay, the customer's commitment can be measured further in several ways, such as whether they would recommend our brand to their friends, relatives or not. Okay, if they say yep, I would recommend your brand to my friends or relatives, then their brand loyalty is quite strong. Okay, or whether they would buy again or buy again. Okay, oops, just okay, there you go, larger than that. If they say yep, I would buy again your product, well, that means they have strong loyalty to us. Okay, or they could also say that now if I cannot find your brand, I'm going to stop buying your I'm going to wait until it comes back to shelf. Then it also shows loyalty. Okay, you may recall that at some point of time you call your service providers. Okay, be it your mobile phone provider or any banking services, for instance, or insurance, right? The customer service in there may tell you, may ask your favor, could you please spend a couple of minutes to answer this survey, right? That is basically to measure your satisfaction with their service. Okay, and one of the questions may be, would you recommend us to your friends or relatives? All right, so that is actually meant to measure the brand loyalty. All right, okay. Now let's go back here at the customer-centered measures or customer relationship measures. All right, which is quite important as well. Customer acquisition is actually about the number of customers that we acquire, that we could sign up, basically. Business to business marketers would normally put it consider this as quite important to expand their distribution channel, for instance, right? And B2C customer marketers also consider that as a tool for them to understand whether they can expand their distribution or not. Okay. Customer retention is basically whether customers would be back to you again to buy your product or service. Now, customer lifetime value actually reflects the value that the customer spend for our brand or for a brand throughout the entire patronage. Okay, so imagine a customer of a bank. All right, if this customer has become a patron for the bank for, let's say, for 5 years, 10 years, and so on and so forth, that means this customer brings value for the bank throughout the entire stream of the transactions, right? And last time is the customer equity, which is basically about the equity the customers are providing us. Okay, all right. So there are some examples, guys. Now, look, in the olden days, again, marketers would normally measure their marketing plan success through financial measures only, right? In the marketing plans in the olden days, marketing plans would only include financial measures such as sales and profit. I want to achieve $1 million profits, for instance, or I want to increase my sales by 10% by 2000 whatever, by whatever year is. Okay, so it was the traditional measures that they are the traditional measure that marketers used at a time. Now, in today's business landscape, organizations would normally require us as a marketer to understand the non-financial measures because, again, as we discussed before, from marketing perspective, we say we achieve financial measures based on our achievements in managing non-financial measures. In other words, we achieve sales target, we increase our profits because we manage the brand. For instance, we manage our brand awareness, we manage our brand association, we manage our customer relationships. If we can retain our customers, for instance, then we have the opportunity to achieve our sales goals, for instance. All right. Okay. Look, if we go back here to the brand image or brand associations, what are the examples? Well, it could be the examples could be when customers see our brand, they may associate our brand as being vibrant or being or they associate our brand to be energetic, for instance. That is the specific word. Now you need to ensure, as a marketer, you need to ensure that this specific word that you implant, that you try to implant in the customer's mind is quite critical for you to differentiate your brand and drives the customers select your brand over the other brands, right? So that's basically the main points about the non-financial measures I'd like to discuss with you. Okay. All right, and these guys here are basically the basically the financial measures, marketing return on investment, for instance, MRI. The next one, net return divided by cost of marketing investment, is actually the explanation of MRI. Okay, if you look at the MRI, it is actually the extension of RI. Okay, so what is RI? Well, RI is actually return on investment. In other words, it is actually net return divided by investment costs. Okay, so in the case of MRI, it is divided by marketing investment costs. Okay, I just write it here, marketing investment costs. So that will become MRI, or some other scholars label it as ROMI, all right, return on marketing investment. Okay, simple. Look, it is quite simple to calculate. We only need two numbers, right? How much return that we receive, and how much money we spend on marketing, right? Let's say if we spend marketing dollars. If we spend marketing dollars $3 million and we get net return as $300,000, that means our ROMI is 10%. Okay. Of course, the popular measures include sales or revenue. Okay, include sales or revenue, and the other one is profitability. Okay, net profit or gross profit, and so on and so forth. All right. Now, if you look at that, you may find it a bit okay. Why do I have to know? I do marketing. Why do I have to know these numbers? Well, welcome. Any business functions that you do, actually, you need to understand some numbers that the organization is driving, because at the end of the day, they need to look at these numbers. And the resources that they allocate to you, either for marketing activities or sales activities, or if you work for HR, for any activities or any programs that you developed, that should contribute to the achievement of the organization's goals, right? Why is that? Well, in the previous topic, we discussed that organizations understand that the resources have become, more and more important. Okay, all right. There are the financial measures. What are the other financial measures? Well, you can look at cash flows, for instance. All right. Now, the other thing I'd like to highlight in terms of RI or MRI. Well, I know that the marketer is a big fan of ROMI as well, because not only marketers, the other business functions may also put RI or ROMI as important. But I just want to highlight to you that there are at least a couple of reasons why RI or ROMI in marketing has become popular. Number one, it is easy. You only need two numbers. Number two, business people would normally like to see to measure the ratio of their activities. I spend this much, how much do I get? Okay, and they like to see it in percentage. Okay, how much percentage would I get? I invest my money, let's say $1 million. To buy shares, and I receive $1.1 million as return when I sell them back. When I sell them again, that means my net return is $100,000, right? How much ROI that is? Well, that means 10%. Easy, right? Easy to calculate, and I understand the percentage, right? Now, one of the things I'd like to highlight is the issue with ROI. It is using profit or return, which is basically also labeled as accounting profits. Okay, so what does it mean? Well, what it means is basically it does not reflect cash flow. Okay, it does not reflect cash flow that the company receives, right? Now, I'm not going to discuss that a bit further. I just want to highlight to you in terms of the issue using RI, okay, and also the benefit of using RI, which is quite simple, okay? All right, now let's move on further. Well, there's some other things as well here, like operation metrics, like the marketing budget ratio. You're looking at the marketing cost divided by sales or program, for instance, awareness to demand ratio. So a number of things, number of techniques in here that you can use to help you slicing and dicing the numbers that you have for the business. That helps you to understand the effectiveness of your program. Right, and the execution metrics, you can also look at them. Are we building awareness? Are we building, creating or attaining new business, especially for B2B category, for instance? Are we keeping our all customers satisfied? That means about retention the customers, right? Or are we closing deals or not? All right. So they're part of some other things that you can consider. Okay, and this is basically from product perspective in terms of efficiency and effectiveness control. You can look at it from sales by market segments, for instance, sales relative to potential, percentage of profits, and so on and so forth. Okay. From distribution perspective, a number of things as well that you can use to measure the effectiveness of your distribution strategy. From sales perspective, expenses, and contribution by channel type, so you can slice and dice the numbers, right? In your that you receive from your organization. Okay, you can also look at it from. In fact, you can also look at it from sales relative to market potential by channel. Okay, what do you mean by market potential? Well, market potential here actually reflects the total consumption that the customers have in a specific product category or industry. Okay, so if we say the for argument's sake, for chocolate bar category, customers spend $200 million. That means that reflects the market potential. That means the total consumption of that category. Okay, so you can look at your sales relatively to market potential by channel, and you look at it. You can slice the total industry by channel. Okay. And from communication perspective, you can also measure it. Again, in business, in managing business, everything that we do, we must be able to measure it. Otherwise, it is not management, right? It is beyond management, okay? So we do not use feeling in here, okay? So we can look at, we can also review the advertising effectiveness, for instance, or the actual audience, target audience ratio, for instance, cost per contact, and so on and so forth. We can also measure that from that perspective. Okay? And pricing, the same thing. All marketing activities, again, product price, place, promotion can be measured, right, in terms of their efficiency and effectiveness. Right? And this is basically showing us a bit of other examples in terms of what we have, what sources of report that we can use, or this is basically Adobe systems, and the one is from Cisco systems, basically. Okay, so marketing control. In brief, marketing control starts with the establishment of performance standards, right? How do you know, or in other words, we establish the metrics. Okay, what is the source of information of a performance standard? Well, simple. Your marketing plan. Your marketing plan should be the Bible, all right, for everything that you do about this business. Okay. Second, you evaluate the performance, right? Now, what do we do in terms of evaluating the performance? Well, we try to understand. Actually, when we evaluate the actual performance, we actually try to find out the gap. Okay, the gap of what? Between the actual and target. Okay, actual and target. All right, we try to look at it. We try to understand it. All right. Sometimes we just hit 100% of the target. Okay. Well, that's fantastic. Okay. Or sometimes we're just below the target, right? Let's say 90% of the target, okay? Now, we need to find out the reasons, right? Which is basically the next step in terms of evaluating, okay? or sometimes we overshoot 110% or maybe even 120% of our target. Then we also need to evaluate it, because there may be hidden potential in here, right? There may be hidden opportunities in here. All right. So any result that we have, we need to evaluate them. Okay. Then the next thing that we need to do is to discuss the corrective action if necessary. Right. Okay. So yeah, we hit the target. Okay. Fine. Anything else that we can do? Well, basically we have optimized everything. All right. Fair enough. Now, what about if we hit 90%? Okay. Then we review the corrective action. What do we need to do? Why we have a gap in terms of performance in here? Well, a competitor slashed the price, for instance, or our plant could not supply the forecast because our one of the machine didn't work properly, for instance. Okay, or one of our customers shut the business, for instance, right? So they're the reasons, and that should be the understanding the gap, the root cause of the gap should lead us to understand whether we need to deploy a corrective action or not, if necessary, right? If we do that, understanding the gap actually helps us to understand what kind of corrective action that we need to deploy. Okay, and if we overshoot target, okay, well, it is a good problem. Right, in business, we call it as a good problem. Okay, we do better than what we targeted. Okay, so what do we do? Well, let's investigate it further. Probably there is a hidden opportunity in here in this business. Okay. Right. The other thing that I'd like to highlight is briefly is about the data. Look, data drives the marketing strategies. In the olden days, marketers spend money to conduct marketing research to get the data. In today's marketing landscape, a lot of businesses adopt the digital marketing technologies, and they may also have the CRM system that helps us to get the data, and that's what actually we call as big data, because the number of data is just enormous, humongous data that marketers receive. So we need to have what we call as data mining plan to slice and dice the data to help us revealing opportunities further for the business. Right, this one here is actually showing a little bit about the data collection storage. And again, big data, that's one that we discussed. And the other thing that we can use is to survey. For instance, if you want to understand your brand equity, you need to use survey. And one of the things that people use is online surveys, such as SurveyMonkey. Okay. Social media, that's one that we touched briefly. One of the things that we can do is to actually measure the positive and negative comments on our social media campaign. And a lot of marketers actually use some analytics tools such as Google Analytics, for instance. Okay, we include some analytics in our Facebook page, or we install Google Analytics code in our website, and also the other campaigns. So that helps us to track the customers. That helps us to understand who our customers are, who visits us from the segmentation variables perspective. Okay, where they live, how they behave, and what demographic profile they have. Okay, that helps us giving some ideas through Google Analytics. Okay, and also the bounce rate, for instance, right? How long do they spend on our website, and so on and so forth. Okay. So that helps us a lot. Okay. Right. So evaluating marketing program, or actually evaluating any business activity program is critical, because we are able to retain the learning, right, for future program, right? And these are basically a bit of actions that we can do, a bit of some areas that we can also evaluate, that they give us a bit of direction in terms of our evaluation. Okay. Okay, I'm going to skip this one. Just you can go through it yourself. Following success, which is basically the ones that we just discussed before, and this one he just briefly about the level of marketing controls, from strategic control, annual plan control, efficiency and effectiveness control, and profitability control. Okay, so who is in charge in here, and also the purpose and what tools that we can use to control it. Okay. Right, so that's basically our topic in terms of our topics in terms of uh, evaluation, marketing evaluation. All right. Thank you for watching, and let me know if you need help. You can send me an email if you need help. All right. Have a good one.